Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6 Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, I'm taking a look at the Hamgeek APX-8000. Now, normally in all of the reviews that I do, you'll see me start off with the radio on the table and we're ready to launch into the review. I don't do unboxings. I'm just not an unboxing kind of guy. It doesn't appeal to me and just not something I like to do. But I'm going to make an exception today because when I got to work this morning and I noticed this thing was at my workstation, I opened the box, and as soon as I opened the box, I went, y'all got to see this, because I had a true Whiskey Tango Foxtrot moment. So let me show you the degree of care that they put into their packaging. So their packaging externally looks pretty nice. I mean, it's a decent box, you know, got lots of images. Looking for some quality presentation here. So when you open it up, well, we see this, and I don't really know what's going on here, but when we pull this up, I note that what they did was they just tossed everything in the box to include this steel screwdriver to just bounce around, and you can already see the protective wrapping here is pretty scarred up from having been jostled around in transit from wherever this came from. So this thing has transited halfway across the world, just sort of loose in the box. The actual I don't know if you can see this or not, but where the knob was in the box, there's a deep indentation here. So this thing at one point was dropped or pounded into that. But I don't know if this is going to work. I didn't have real high hopes when I ordered this radio. We did this for an entirely different reason than we normally bring radios in. We wanted to do a radio for a Motorola APX-8000, a genuine Motorola APX-8000. And on Amazon, the cheapest one I could find was $3,400. That's a lot of money to pay for a radio just to market a pouch. So we got one of these because it's roughly the same size. And I thought, since it's an amateur radio, somebody's going to buy one of these sooner or later, so I might as well do a review. But this is a mess. So this is the little holster that you hear so much about, and this big ass screwdriver that they included. It's not like flat tip screwdrivers are an oddity in this world, but we've got that. Got our belt clip, again, just sort of rattling around. Looks like a program, maybe not a programming cable, probably just a power cable. Looks like somebody got some surplus iPhone gear here. Got our antenna, great, terrific. I don't know, one miscellaneous screw. And now here's the big mystery. How banged up is this radio going to be? Because again, there's the road rash from the packaging. So, oh, well, there's a battery that was just sort of floating around loose in there. So I don't see any major damage to be worried about. So fingers crossed, when I get this thing charged up and start working with it, it'll actually work. But okay, here we go. So that's your unboxing on the APX-8000. This doesn't bode well for the radio itself. I'm going to give them a 0 out of 1,000,000 stars for their packaging because it's shite. So there you go. Hamgeek, if you're watching, come on. Even Baofeng on a $27 radio can manage to package your stuff into a couple of separate trays so it's not shaking around in there. You could have done something better with this. So okay, we're off to the races. So I'm going to go ahead and break the video at this point, and we'll come back with the actual review on this radio. So hang on. Okay, we're back from that deplorable unboxing. Now we get to the part of, well, how good is the radio itself? And here's my shortest explanation. It's shite. This radio is awful. It's horrible. It's garbage, plain and simple. No two ways about it. So here's how things went after the unboxing. So I went ahead and charged it up, And after I charged it up, turned it on, everything seemed to be fine. Radio turned on, and I was able to actually program in a couple of frequencies off of the front panel, and was able to actually open and operate one of our local repeaters. So everything was fine. But because it uses a proprietary programming cable that's a USB-C, I tried a couple of my USB-C programming cables from other radios. Those did not work, so I bought one of the Hamgeek programming cables, as well as one of the speaker mics, which plugs into the same port. So I waited for those to come in. They came in today, and I plugged everything in, hooked it up to the computer, read the radio to the computer. Everything worked fine. I uploaded my file to the radio that had all the frequencies that I wanted on the radio. Not a heck of a lot, because it's only a 128 channel radio, kind of like a Baofeng UV5R, although it's different, admittedly. But I got it all programmed up, turned the radio on, figured out how to switch from VFO to memory, and everything was fine. I'm cycling through the channels, put it on call 1, which is 146.520, keyed down to test it, and the screen went black, the radio died, and now is totally dead. It had a fully charged battery. Since then, though, I have removed the battery. I hooked it up to the, I hooked the charge cable up again, and nothing. It is absolutely, totally dead. So I don't know what brought that on. I can imagine they applied the same attention to detail from their packaging to the manufacturing of the radio, because it doesn't work. Now, I have in the past done reviews on radios and had people contact me and say, hey, the one I bought, I turned it on and it doesn't work, or it's dead from the factory, on and on. So I'm the first one to say, hey, hopefully you bought it from Amazon, because you can send it back and get another one. Okay, well, now I'm suffering the same fate. All right, whatever. But it's a $129 radio. You sort of expect a higher degree of consistency when you get to the $129 mark. You don't expect your radio to just absolutely die the first time you try to use it. So that's about all I can say about it. I'm not pleased really at all with anything about this radio. It's got one redeeming cool feature, and that's the little frequency display at the top of the radio. But beyond that, man, it's just a 128 channel radio. It doesn't really do anything special. It has no stated weather protection. Its only salient feature is that it resembles exactly a Motorola APX-8000, which is the reason I bought it in the first place. And that kind of leads me to, hey, Scott, why are you even looking at this radio? Because the general consensus is this isn't a good radio, and I've heard that from other people as well. But the reason why is we needed to make some APX-8000 radio pouches, and we don't have access to one of those radios here at the shop. And if I wanted to buy maybe a decommissioned police radio, if you go on eBay, the cheapest cost I could find for one of these that's been decommissioned was $3,495, which is a lot of money to pay just to make a radio pouch. So I tumbled upon this when I was searching APX-8000, and I thought, well, 129 bucks, we'll get it in. It'll serve the purpose of being able to fit a pouch to it, and then we can actually sell them as Motorola APX-8000 pouches. And then there you go. But I thought an added benefit is, because it is a ham radio, I could review the radio, and hell, you never know, it may turn out to be good. Unfortunately, it's like the ultimate whacker radio, so even if it did work good, I still would, I would caution people against getting one of these, just because I don't like to see people get clowned, you know, out of ignorance. So what do I mean by whacker radio, by the way? You may or may not have heard that term before, but a whacker radio is basically a weird radio generally used by a weird person. Some people have ascribed the whacker title, for instance, to the imitation PRC 152 radios that the airsoft kids use. But there I can kind of excuse it, because they use imitation helmets and imitation armor and imitation everything, because all they're really doing is, this is like the flag football variant of simunition work. So it's kind of a game. So everything there is considered to be a toy. So I can kind of excuse something like an AR-150 or a PRC-152. Some people like to say the AR-152 is a whacker radio, but to be honest with you, this is actually a pretty good solid radio. It's a great performer. It works really well. As far as Baofangs go, this is actually one of my favorite Baofangs. And I like to mess with this a lot. I like this radio, and it's about half the price of this one. So I don't know, but I think the term ultimate whacker radio could definitely be ascribed to this, because if you buy one of these, you may fool people that don't know anything about radios. And it's kind of like the joke, I forget which comedian told it, but he was talking about people that like to drive Chrysler 300s because they look like Rolls-Royce Phantoms. He says that's all good and well until somebody pulls up next to you at the light in an actual Phantom, and then you ain't shit. So the same thing kind of applies here. If you take this radio amongst people that actually know what it is and know what you're trying to do, you're going to get clowned. You're going to get clowned hard. And I hate to see people stumble into that. But trust me, if you roll up to a radio club or something and you've got one of these, yeah, get ready to hear some serious insults thrown at you, because that's the kind of thing a goofball would do. If you've got $129 to spend, you can do so much better than this thing. It doesn't have any stated weather protection. It's 128 channels. They claim it'll do 12 watts. I'd love to tell you about that, but again, as a reminder, this crappy radio doesn't work anymore. It died the first time I tried to use it. Well, not the first time, but after it was programmed, apparently the programming killed it. I don't know. Nor do I care, actually. So I may send this back and get another one in, or I may just use it for a pouch and call it a day, because honestly, if I got another one of these in, I really wouldn't use it for anything. I probably wouldn't turn that one on, and I certainly am not ever going to review the radio beyond what I've done here. So I tried, I failed, it didn't work, and it kind of sucks in general. The packaging is poor. The attention to detail, like I say, let's talk attention to detail for just a moment real quick. It has nothing to do with the build quality of the radio, but I want to point something out to you. This is a package. Nice package, right? Pretty picture of the radio. All right, cool. Dual band, great. It also has a bool screen and a bool PTT. Okie dokie. Well, they misspelled it there. How about the side of the box? Yep, they did it there. How about the back of the box? Yep, they screwed that up too. Oh, they did it on the end, and they did it on the other side. You can take all the time in the world to put together a nice packaging, or nice ornate packaging like this, and you're not going to bother to have anyone proofread this. Again, attention to detail. It shows. They're selling sizzle, and they're not even selling that sizzle very well at all. Where the rubber meets the road on the radio side of things, unimpressive. For the short period of time that this radio actually did work, it did not distinguish itself in any way, shape, or form. I was able to open up a repeater, same repeater I can open up with a UV5R. And I'll remind you, the UV5R, you can get those for $27. This is $129. So if you're considering one of these radios, don't. If you have one of these radios and you like it and it works for you, terrific, I'm happy for you. Just know you do not have an APX-8000. You have something that looks like an APX-8000 if you squint a little bit. And then this name, Hamgeek. Who wants to buy a product with a name like that? I mean, it's, again, market research should tell you that that's a polarizing name. I wouldn't like to be considered a ham geek, nor would I proudly carry a product called Hamgeek. If I for some reason was forced to use these radios, the very first thing I would do is paint that and cover it up with something so I don't have to have the name Hamgeek out there. I'd call it an HG APX-8000. That's how I actually have it named for the file in my computer where I keep the upload file for this. I couldn't even bring myself to write the word Hamgeek. Okay, enough. I'm rambling. So, long story short, the verdict on the Hamgeek APX-8000 Fugazi Whacker radio is mine doesn't work. Will yours work? I don't know. So I cannot recommend. Big thumbs down. This sucks. Move on. Look elsewhere. I can cite just off the top of my head 20 radios that cost less than this, that are better than this, every day of the week. So with that, I will bring it to a close and end this fiasco with this stupid radio. So this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6 Delta Alpha Yankee from Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be back soon with a review or talking about something much more positive than this nonsense. So take it easy.